Do Black Lives Matter to the politicians who run DC? It's an uncomfortable question, but a good one to ask. You see, the politicians, they tweet that Black Lives Matter. They put it on street signs. They paint it on roads. You see, our politicians, they let BLM protesters loot our stores, burn our churches, assault our cops, and tear down our statues. But after all of the politically fashionable statements, slogans, and marches are over, what is left? What is the reality of life for Black people in Washington under leftist leadership? Leadership that has controlled this city for generations. And this week's special episode of Benny on the Block, we're going to get into some data, and we're going to find out exactly what life is like for Black people in Washington, D.C. Let's go see what this data has to say. Over the last 10 years, income in Washington, D.C. has been skyrocketing for virtually every single population, except for Black people. The median income for Black households has actually declined in Washington, D.C. That matches another stunning number, the poverty rate. The poverty rate in Washington, D.C. is above 18%. That is drastically higher than the rest of the country. That is approximately 12%. Of those in poverty, the vast majority are Black. 26% of Washington, D.C.'s children live in poverty. Of those 26%, the vast majority are Black. D.C.'s homelessness is sky high compared to the rest of the country. Of D.C.'s homeless population, of which there are many thousands, 88% are Black. Black people are not just more likely to be homeless and in poverty in Washington, D.C., they're more likely to suffer in even more tragic ways under leftist leadership. Washington, D.C. is one of the most dangerous places in America for Black people to live. There have been 100 homicides to date in Washington, D.C. This is an increase of 20% from 2019. The victims of these tragic homicides are overwhelmingly Black Americans. 49% of Washington, D.C.'s population is Black, but 95% of Washington, D.C.'s homicide victims are Black. More tragic still, half of those victims are under the age of 24. In one weekend in July last month, a single night, 4 people were killed in the same neighborhood in Washington, D.C., Northeast. In spite of this horrific scourge of violence and danger in our streets, specifically targeting our Black residents, the leaders of Washington, D.C. say they want to defund our police. They paint it on the streets. So, do the Black people of Washington want to defund the police? We actually went and asked. We went to a majority Black neighborhood for this show and asked specifically, do you want to defund the police in a neighborhood where a young man, Davon McNeil, an 11-year-old, was tragically killed in a drive-by shooting just days before? Here's what these DC residents had to say about defunding their police.
Get rid of the police. They need more police everywhere.
They blame the police when they kill them, but when it's Black on Black crime, then where's all the movement there? Where's the riots there? These kids don't deserve this.
We need more police out on the street. We really do.
I think the city need to come together and put more police out here on every corner, every neighborhood that's taking away these young kids.
The worst place for a Black person to live in America is a leftist-controlled city. The data doesn't lie. Look at the data and ask yourselves, does the left actually care about Black lives? Talk is cheap. Hey, it's Benny Johnson here, Turning Point USA's Chief Creative Officer. If you like this video you just watched, be sure to subscribe to the official Turning Point USA channel and never miss an episode. See you guys next week.